Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void, mostly about books. And I apologize beforehand, this is going to be a rambly one. Welcome to my non-tbr TBR for June 2024. As I've stated in my video where I talk about science fiction genres, I am this June of 2024 going to do the amazing readathon, which is a readathon created by Bree at Four Paws and Books. Links in the description. And I am on Team Science Fiction. So in June of 2024, I'm going to read a lot of science fiction. But there's a catch with this readathon. There are two ways of defining the books that you're going to read. Now, you do have bonus points for the readathon. This is a readathon with points, where you have bonus points for reading favorites of the hosts of the readathons, and you have groups of 100 points, 200 points, 300, 400, and 500 points with different prompts. I'm going to focus on the 500 prompts, and the prompts for 500 is a book with exactly 5 words in the title, a book over 500 pages, the 4th book or volume in a series, a book with a person's name in the title, a book with footnotes, a book with all 5 vowels in the front cover, the 5 English vowels on the front cover, a book with less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, a book written before 2001, a book with foiling on the cover, and a book that Bree, the host from Four Paws and a Book, gave 5 stars. So I've picked some books that can fit them, but the main readathon books are 10 cities that we are going to visit, and we don't know these 10 prompts beforehand. So I have no idea what books might or might not actually fit them. And there are a lot of things to take into consideration. For example, I wanted to use this readathon to read some of the science fiction books that we had on our bookshelf, because my husband is a huge fan of science fiction books, so we have a lot of them. I wanted to read some of them. On the other hand, I also wanted to use this opportunity to read science fiction books from different parts of the world. So, for example, there are some speculations that maybe one of the countries that we might be visiting is New Zealand, and I know that in my group of science fiction, in that way, we're going to do a buddy read of Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. So that sort of would have fit the New Zealand prompt. There's also been some speculation, maybe we're going to South Africa, and then you have the Alistair McKay, who wrote the book It Doesn't Have to Be This Way, who is Alistair McKay is a queer author. So that's why I picked him, because it's June and it's Pride. Let's read queer authors when we can, if we can. There are too many books. There's too little time. I don't know what to do. And now I'm having a bit of a breakdown. In addition to that, we get bonus points, as I stated, for reading the books on that are favorites by the hosts. So, and just picking the science fiction books out of that list, we have Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant, The Darkness Outside of Us by Elliot Schrefer, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Poloni, How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu, Dinosaur Sanctuary by Itaru Kinoshita, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. there is too many books, too little time. So in addition to that, I'm just now going to, so I want to read those books. I want to read the books set in the country that we've landed. I also have my 500 points list. So, while I have no idea what the city prompts are going to be, I at least know what my 500 points are most likely going to be. So I'm going to present them to you, and after that I'm just going to present a whole list of science fiction books that we have in the shelf and that may or may not be read during June. Is this going to be stressful? Probably. Am I going to have a lot of fun? Absolutely. So, for the book, a book with exactly 5 words in the title, I have picked C.S. Lewis Out of the Silent Planet. This is the first of C.S. Lewis' acclaimed space trilogy. I have read Narnia and some of his more non-fiction books, but this is the first time I'm going to read his science fiction, so that's going to be interesting. A book over 500 pages, I'm going to read the complete Robot series by Isaac Asimov, most likely, if this doesn't fit another prompt. And I might also read The Foundation of Earth by Isaac Asimov. Or something else. A book over 500 pages won't be that difficult when you're talking about science fiction, luckily. Then we have the 4th book or volume in a series. I am now going to go for So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, which is the 4th of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The reason why I wanted to go with this one is that, as I stated, we get bonus points for reading the favorite books of the hosts, and that also includes the sequels. So while she put The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I will get the same points for reading So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, which is the 4th one in the series. Then you have a book with a person's name in the title. I'm going to read Jennifer's Government by Max Barry. And reading off the back, in the future, the world will be run by giant American corporations. Everybody will be happy, tax-free, and rich. That they will change the name to that of their company. Interesting. Then we have a book with footnotes. I have been told that Anathem has a couple of footnotes in the book, trying to then explain some mathematical equations. I've tried to quickly look through the book. It's a very big book, but I've been told that there is footnotes in that one, but there are not a lot of it, but it still then counts for that prompt. Then I have a book with all 5 vowels on the front cover, and again I'm now trying to double up, and I'll go for A Psalm for the Wild Built, which was on the list of the host's favorite by Becky Chambers. A book with less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. I've chosen The Truth and Other Stories by Stanislav Lem. Stanislav Lem is a very famous science fiction author, and I do have some of his other books on my TBR cot. So that can also be absolutely read, maybe not, but The Truth in Other Stories is one of his lesser known and therefore under 1,000 ratings. A book written before 2001. I'm going for Daphne du Maurier, Rule Britannia, which has been told sort of fits the science fiction genre. I haven't read a lot of the books, so I'm just going on what other people have told me about them. A book with foiling on the cover. I am going with Jules Verne, From Earth to the Moon, and it's difficult to see because this is an old library book, so they've taped up, but there is gold foiling on this edition. I also really wanted to read Jules Verne because this book has been told as one of the pioneers within science fiction genre, and that will be interesting when I'm trying to read more science fiction. And the last of the 500 points is a book that Brie gave 5 stars, and there I will go with Vicious by Schwab, which is a book that has been described as both science fiction and fantasy. So she has confirmed that you can also use it as a science fiction book. Will I get through these 500 point prompts? I do not know, because I have to prioritize the city prompts. So the city prompts are dropped, so we know which city we are going to go to, and the prompt to fit that city. So I have to read that book first. If I have read that, when I have read that book, then I can start doing all of these other good stuffs. And that's why I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to read this June. It's so much fun. But to finish this video off, I'm now going to show you the other science fiction books that I have on my science fiction cot. So these are the books that may or may not be read this June. We have a lot of Stevenson on the bookshelf. I've showed you some of them, but I would also very much like to read 7Fs. Coil by Ren Warren is a science fiction thriller. This could also, I know that if I get through all 500 points, then there of course are the 400, 300. And I do know that there is some genre blending as one of the prompts, so this could have absolutely fit into that one. But it's also, because it's a mixture of horror and science fiction, very different from a lot of the other more traditional science fiction. China Miéville by Perdido Street Station, which is Metropolis New Crobert sprawls at the center of the world. So this is about a city that is attacked by aliens. Then you have, this is a very, very bad font, Necronaut by Laila Rolstad. I have 2 books of Stanislav Lem, in addition to the one I already have as a prompt, The Star Diaries, and his probably most famous one, which is Solaris. I bought this book for my husband, Tower by Bai Myung-hun. It's a book from South Korea with a science fiction about sort of this tower that everyone is living in and the consequences of what happens within that tower. So that's can also be a very interesting read, and especially if, for example, we would travel to South Korea, that would also fit. Perlander and That Hideous Strength is book 2 and 3 of the trilogy that I mentioned by C.S. Lewis. I have William Gibson, Pattern Recognition. I've read Neuromancer by William Gibson, and of course he is sort of one of the staples of science fiction, so I have been recommended to read more of him if I wanted to be more familiar with science fiction as a genre. And I also have by William Gibson The Peripheral and Zero History. Ian M. Banks, which is also a very famous Scottish science fiction author, has, among other things, written Consider Phlebas. And considering it's June and Pride, Arthur C. Clarke is a very famous queer author. He was one who wrote 2001, An Odyssey, and 2061 and 3001 are two of in that series. So I've read the two first, 2001 and 2010. So those are the two first, and then those are the two continuing in the series. Science fiction is absolutely dominated by men. So I wanted to ensure that I did have some women. Laila Rolstad is, of course, a woman. And Tea from an Empty Cup by Pat Cadigan is also a woman. So that's sort of a way of ensuring some kind of gender balance in all of this. Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and Flow My Tears, The Policeman Said. In addition to being very male-based, we also realized that our collection was very American-based or Anglo-American-based. So we did pick up Lucian Plater by B. Andreas Bull-Hansen, which is a Norwegian science fiction author, and Dmitry Glukovsky's Metro 2033, who is a Russian author. And I also have ordered a book. I haven't received it yet, so I'm going to see if when it comes, if that's also, but that is a collection of short stories from Latin America with from a lot of different authors. And I've also ordered a book with a collection of female short stories that are science fiction, to sort of balance out the male Anglo-American perspective. And just to show off H.G. Wells' The Shape of Things to Come. And I love this author. I've read so many of his works, so it's going to be it's going to be nice to just have an excuse to read more of him in addition to everything else. Science fiction is, of course, a very complicated genre with a lot of subgenres. And to try and also read diversely within the science fiction genre as a genre, I picked out two anthologies with cyberpunk. The Mirror Shades, the cyberpunk anthology with Bruce Sterling as an editor, and Rewired, the post-cyberpunk anthology, edited by James Patrick Kelly and John Kels. So that's all the books I have on my science fiction shelf. Now, one of the things that I am interested in, and I really would like some input regarding this, is that, of course, you have the main leg, which is the city prompt, that it is called. And as I stated, I wanted to diversify my reading by trying to find books that are written by authors from whatever place we are. But you do get points with the city leg in regard to how thick the book is. So reading this as a city prompt will give you a lot of more points than reading this. So what I would love to hear is if you think that I should prioritize the thicker books that fit the prompt within the city prompt, and then read the book from the country as an addition to it. So as sort of the 500 points, 400, and so on. Of course, the problem then is that you need to make sure that the country fits the 500 points, because otherwise you're not going to get any points. So there's a lot of things to take into considerations when doing this. So, what are you doing for June? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if there are some wonderful science fiction books from around the world that I need to read. I don't need any more Anglo-American recommendations. I have that, but I would really like to know if you have any recommendations from any other country, because as I said, we don't know what countries we're going to face, so having a lot of recommendations there might help. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.